Okay, so I'm here to review the Hunger Games book versus the Hunger Games movie. Thing that the rave has been so big that almost everybody knows a little bit of what the Hunger Games is about. 12 districts, an annual reality show where a boy and a girl from each district, from the ages 12 to 18, has to fight with the rest until death, and there can only be one victor. The Hunger Games came out in 2008, and even though I read a lot, I managed to stay away from it. I refused to read it, and there was one main reason for that, and that was Stephanie Meyer saying that The Hunger Games is fantastic. I don't like Stephanie Meyer's writing, so I was a bit worried that The Hunger Games would be just like Twilight. So I decided to stay away from it. The trailer of the movie came out. I got really excited. It looked amazing. It looked really, really good. Cinematically, I mean, like, you saw the woods and, Katniss looking absolutely amazing with her arrows and yeah, it looked really good. So I went out a week before the movie was to be released and I got the books. Now I'm going to talk about the book. I'm only going to talk about book one, tell you my thoughts, and then I'm going to review it in comparison to the Hunger Games movie. The book is okay. It's definitely written for young adults. I wouldn't say 10 to 20, which is the age group that it's usually considered, young adults novel 10 to 20. I would say it's more like a 15 to 20. It is a little bit cliche in the sense that we have the love triangle, very common in this particular, genre, the post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian novels do have, if they're aimed to young adults, they do usually have a love triangle. One of the main problems that I identified was the first person sort of narration. Katniss is very well rounded character, but the fact that we only see the rest of the people, we only see Gale and Peeta and her mom and Prim and everybody through her eyes. They're not as developed. For example, her sister is portrayed as this very fragile little girl, the healer that Katniss has to take care of, but she's not just that. There are more things behind, there is a character that is left in the closet undeveloped because you have first person narration. That's where the problem with the first person narration comes from, the fact that it's a dystopian novel. So we only see Panem through Katniss' eyes. And we do hear a little bit of Gale's opinion on the Capitol. We do get some information about other districts from the other tributes in the games. Very little, but we do get that. But the rest of Panem we only see through Katniss' eyes. I think the reason why Collins made the deliberate choice of having a first-person narration was the build-up towards the second and third book, because you see that it's very important that we don't know what has been happening behind Katniss' back. Comparing the reviews, I would say that I think that Stephen King was definitely spot on his review of the Hunger Games. He said that they're highly addictive, which I agree. They are the sort of book you can read in a day. 454 pages. I've read it in a day. They are highly addictive because the plot is cut. Like each chapter ends at the point where you want to read more. He said that there is some display of authorial laziness that kids will accept more readily than adults. I would have to agree with that. I think, being a writer myself, having a degree in creative writing, I can see that Collins was lazy at some points. Laziness in the sense that she created a world, but that world is not complete. There are still some questions, and maybe she needed a more strict editor. She had to go into a bit more detail. It's such an interesting subject what she's looking at, but it's also not touched as much as it should. She doesn't go into too much depth, you know. I think she relies more on how interesting the subject is. And he did say, of course, that the love triangle is standard for the genre. The love triangle is standard for the genre. I would have to agree with him 100%. It's not the love triangle of Twilight, and I find the need to compare the two, because you have people saying, you know, Team Peeta or Team Gale, just as they do in Twilight. I think with the Hunger Games, Gale and Katniss only realize that they love each other after she's in the games, after he had lost her, which is, it's very realistic. It's very realistic. Two people can't be friends and then, you know, when they are about to lose someone, realize that they love them. So I would say that it is standard. It is a typical love triangle standard, but it is fueled by outside situations, and that makes it even more interesting. For example, Gale losing Katniss and thinking that he might never see her again, and then you have, of course, Peeta using his feelings, or, you know, as Katniss says, his so-called feelings, because she's not quite sure if he's really in love with her, to win the Hunger Games. Now I'm going to move on to the movie and the problems I identified with not only with the adaptation, but generally the problems. First of all, I made the terrible mistake of going to the premiere, and not only to the premiere, but to the first screening. It was full of children from 14 to 16 who were, of course, really excited. We sat down, the movie started, and I could not concentrate because they kept going like, oh, they kept cheering and booing. I mean, participation of the audience is part of the cinematic experience, but it just got out of hand. They did clap and cheer when most of the tributes died, and I thought that was just, it was wrong. You're doing exactly what the Capitol is doing, what the Capitol people are doing with this reality show. You're watching the Hunger Games, you were taking side, apart from Rue, of course, but I thought they were becoming the Capitol people in the sense that they were taking sides with Katniss and Peeta, and they wanted the rest of the children to die, not thinking that they went in the games hoping they would win and return back to their homes. The tributes who were trained to take part in the Hunger Games, even with them, you can't blame them. They were part of the system, and it is still wasted life. So that was the biggest drawback. I think that Gary Ross, the director, made a terrible mistake of using his shaky cam a little bit too much. I could see why. I could see that he was trying to be very realistic. We were in the woods, we were running, blah blah blah. But at points it was too much, in the point where I thought some of the scenes were just too blurry to follow. And it was a bit slow. The movie was slow. It was not moving fast enough for me, and it could have been a little bit faster. We could have seen a little bit of more compact in the arena. I do understand that they tried to make it appropriate for younger ages. There was not enough blood. I mean, the Hunger Games, it's messy and violent. You know, why are they so scared of getting into the arena? The people who have read the book know that there were cases of cannibalism in the games. We didn't get to see that. Another major problem for me was the portrayal of the Capitol people. There is a brilliant scene in the book where Katniss describes her prep team as little colorful birds sort of picking on her and, plucking her eyebrows and waxing her legs. And I thought they would be just, plainly weird and strange and extraordinary. They look more like a carnival parade. I wanted them to look a bit more monstrous, a bit more Lady Gaga crazy, I would say. That's how I pictured the Capital People. I'm gonna go into the three main characters: Katniss, Peeta, Gale. I think the most appropriate choice of actor was definitely Liam Hemsworth. Liam Hemsworth, I think. The guy who plays Gale. There's something about his bone structure and his sort of eyes that it's really Gale-like. Even though we didn't get to see him too much movie, hopefully we'll see a bit more of him in the next movie. Josh Hutcherson, is that how you? I don't know how you pronounce his name. Played Peeta. The only issue I had with him was that I was expecting Peeta to be more of the baker's son, maybe a little bit more plump, more cheeks. I don't know why. It's because of the bread, the idea of the bread. He's supposed to have blonde curly hair, which I thought was such a nice little detail because he looked sort of like a cupid in the books. That's how I imagined him. I think he did a really good job. During the interview, like when he has his tribute interview, you do get that feel. He can make people do whatever he wants. When he talks. Hutcherson was not my favorite actor in the trio. Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss. I love her eyes and her hair. I think it is a little bit Katniss, but I think she might be a little bit too tall and too strong for Katniss. If you have read the book, you know that a lot of the times she got lucky in the arena for being thinner and lighter than the rest of them, and you couldn't really see that. She just, she didn't look small. She didn't look smaller than Cato, for example. A lot of people have been saying that they thought she did a really good job. I didn't. I thought she was a bit blunt. I saw a girl, an actress. I saw an actress shooting arrows, and I don't know. I didn't like her. She might grow into me with time, and I might think she's good. But Katniss is, well, it's a matter of preferences and personal taste. For some people, she was a perfect Katniss. For me, she wasn't. It doesn't affect the movie in any way. But Haymitch was. I was dissatisfied with Haymitch. I was expecting a dirty, drunk, you know, mess. I was expecting a wreck, and Haymitch just looks too put together in the movie. He's so much more in the book. He's a man who is haunted by his nightmares from the arena. He's a man who never got over what happened. And my last issue with the movie was the Mockingjay pin. The mayor's daughter gives to Katniss right before the Hunger Games for luck. If you have read the books, you know that it's a very important symbol. Not the Mockingjay, but the pin as well. Who has given it to whom, and how it ended up in Katniss' hands. In the books, it's like she's given that pin, and she's told you have no choice. You were destined. The movie is just a pin she picks up, she gives to her sister, and she gives to her sister to protect her. And it's just a lot of people. I've heard reviews where people said, "Oh, I didn't really care," but I think it was one of the things in the book that in the trilogy, not just in the first book, in the trilogy, that made it stand out. Overall, I'm going to give the books a 3.5 out of 5. They are quite enjoyable, very fast paced, and worth the reading. I'm going to give the movie a disappointing 2.5. It had its good moments, but they were rare. Thank you for watching.